Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Bobby. Good morning, everyone. So we have BATL moving up here. It took a small loss off the top, looking for the breakthrough 50. Very small loss. Now I'm just looking to see if this one can hold this level and then squeeze up another time. So we're coming down to support here, and 7 a.m. We can see if this one wants to possibly turn around and continue going up to 5. We have room on the daily chart up to 5, that's what I'm looking for. Feeling a little rusty sitting down this morning. Just not in the groove. Harder to read the tape, so I got to get more of that flow going. But it'll come back. We have a little bit of a dip down here. 4 green candles in a row on the 5-minute right now. Looks like it's gonna pull back a little bit. Good morning, me. We have, let's see, 440 there on the ask. The goal here is to look for the breakthrough 450 and hold. We did reject over 460s right now. We're dipping down a little bit further. As you can see, this one has made a pretty decent rally from a low of 2. It is an oil corporation, though it doesn't have news that I see. Good morning, AWS. Let's see, it should be good. Good morning, Monica. Good morning. So new 5-minute candle forming here in about 2 minutes, more or less. Gapping back up here to 440s. Yeah, there is a lot of volume, 50 million shares traded already. Float is 6 million shares. It is a little bit thickly traded. We do have a big bid here at 35. Let's see if it can hold. So we can look for the breakup over, what is this level here? 31, 35, no, 42. The high of this candle right here, 47. So if we see the breakthrough 47, 48 going up to 50, it could look nice for that squeeze and that continuation pattern back up through 60. So just watching here for now. Here's a little bit of a dip coming in on the 5 as well. Good morning, overtime. What's weird and interesting about this one is like once it starts pulling away, it's great. But other than that, it's like super grindy in the middle. So you might not take losses, but you take paper cuts, and then, paper cut after paper cut. You know how it is. So I really think that we might start hitting this daily resistance at 5. We're pretty close to it. So it's something to watch out for. There's your 5-minute dip. Let's see if this turns around. So dipping down to the 20 EMA on the 1-minute chart, going down to the 5-minute as well. You know, it's been very respected here on the 9 EMA through the 5-minute. So it's definitely worth watching. Small bounce there. We have 34 there, adding here at 34, small share size, looking for the bounce back through 40s and 50s. Nice little small add, looking for the bounce back up over. That's 38, 39. Now we're looking for the breakthrough 40, 45, and 50. There's 40. Now we're looking to add for the squeeze up through 50. There's 45, 47, coming back through highs here. Let's see if it's strong enough. It looks very strong for the break. Looking for the breakthrough 50. There's 45. Holding since it's a grinder, coming back down to 35-ish. There's 41. There you go. Now watch for the pop through 50. That's 50 there. Pop through 50 for a split second, but back down to 41s. Just going to give it some time to go here. It's 42. I'm not a big fan of how heavy it is here. You know, we are up, but I'm letting it hold and ride since it is, you know, kind of like that grinder. It's 42, 43, 44. There you go. There's 45. That's 47. Watch for the breakthrough 50. That's 52. Now taking some off here. What a pop up to 82 there. I got some off at 66. Holding some of this to see if it goes up and continues. Back up to 75. That's nice. Now this looks nice for the squeeze back through 5. Let's watch here. Let's watch for 85 and that squeeze. That's 85. Watch for 90, 95, and then squeeze through 5. That's 80. Watch for the breakthrough 85. Taking a quarter off there. Now watch for the breakthrough 85 and 90. Kind of stalling out here at 80s though. There's 82, 83. Some momentum coming in, but not crazy amount. I'll just hold the rest of my shares left here. Stop break even at 35. I really think we're going to see 5 here. Good morning, Sunil. There you go. Watching for 5 now. It's 41, 42. A little bit of a dip coming in. Kind of a bigger seller in this area. Just holding through this. Might pull back here and then go up. There's 85. Now you're looking for the squeeze through 90. That's 90 there. Now you're looking for 95. Pops up, pops back down though. Kind of this, it's very choppy in some of these levels. You have to be very careful. That was a nice dip off the 20 EMA though. It's really struggling to get back above 5. Because this move happened, just before coming into market open, or I guess the open of some brokerages, I'm not sure if, how well this is going to squeeze through 5. There's clearly a lot of resistance. There's 90. There's a potential ad spot here while the break comes through. So watch for the break through 5 again as it snaps coming into 7 a.m. Dip down to 80. Definitely some selling up here for sure. So dipping, I actually like this dip for that potential curl. Adding here at 90. Not breaking immediately. Watching for the snap through 5. Really heavy. So I think it might snap through though. There's 94, 95. I don't know. It's not really going though. There's 92. You can watch for the break up over. That's 94, 95, 96, 97, 5, 501. Typically when it breaks by 1 cent, it's not great. Let's see if it can snap over. There you go. Now up to 520, 510. Nice. So finally was able to push through that now. It's very, very much of a grinder. All right, so now now that we're up extended in this area, it's been really choppy after it makes that, extended move. Unless it starts really pulling away, I think in this area, I kind of have to be a little bit cautious of getting in a little bit too high. Here's your dip. But typically this is the area where it gets choppy. Nice up the 40s. Okay, now it's starting to squeeze through 6. Wow, what a nice move. Dips here for a second. Got to do a interval change. There's so much volume coming in on this one right now. 60 million shares traded so far now. And climbing. I mean, this thing has had no holds back so far. And it feels like it doesn't want to give up either. Nice break up through 6s there. Nice. Let's see if it holds 6. Holding 6. Nice. Now going up to 620s. Very nice. 630s, 640s. Watch for this dip. I'm looking for the break through 650. Adding here at 650. Watching for the squeeze through 660. That's 660 for a split second. Watching for 665 and 670. Dipping back down though. Small loss. So that was a high day add there. A little bit too late. Wasn't aggressive enough on, these lower sides of the moves. Now it's pulling back. Back up to 650s. Is this where it starts getting grindy now? Because, that was a really nice pull away up through 6, but I mean, there's only one way to find out. This is previous daily resistance here at 649. That's what I was looking at for the break. So it's a gap fill all the way up to this level. If we can break over 649, hold. I mean, you have room up to 7 and then like potentially 9. There's 650s, 660s, back down to 650s though. $652. Adding here, looking for the break. That's 660s. Nice. Now you're looking for 665 and 670. Not really going though. So another small loss. Popped up there for a split second. Now all the way back down. Good morning, trucker. This one did really nice this morning. We can watch for a potential dip bounce here. I thought what it would do is I thought it was going to be a grinder in this area. It wasn't going to pull away like it was showing, but it ended up pulling away really nicely. Continuing to pull back here. We can see if it holds this 9 EMA support line. That's 593. just below the $6 level. Back up to 6. Nice. 610-ish. I'm going to add here looking for the pop back up. Let's see if it wants to go. Add is 26. That's 28, 29. Looking for the break back up through 30. Stop just underneath this level. A little bit of a late add though. That's 19, 18, 16. So stopping out there, basically flat on this one. So, had a little bit of a cushion on it, gave some back, trying to extend over that first 1 minute candle to make a new high there. It still has the opportunity to go though. Just a little bit of a late add. Dropping a little bit back down to 6. Having a tough time holding above 615 here. It's 615 there, nice. Now we can see if we can squeeze it's up to 620s. What's the high of this one? 618. $6.10. Back down. Very nice movement from BTAL though. That's 618 back up. There you go. There's 620s there. Watch this dip, see if it holds. Adding here at 25, looking for that bounce back up. I don't know if it's going to go though. There's 20, 21. Stopping out. Let's see if it... it's kind of choppy in that range. So that was a 5-minute candle setup, looking for that bounce back up. It's not ready yet though. I've had some issues with my power recently, so it's been cutting in and out. I'm a little bit worried with that, so I have my phone nearby in case that happens. DAS has the app to allow you to switch off to your phone and allow you to cancel those positions if need be. Up a total of 371%. Kind of interesting. With no news. Oil Corporation. It's good for power. OGC moving up here a little bit. OCG, sorry. Said that backwards. Kind of an ATGL riser, Chinese company. Not too interested in it. Going back to BATL on this dip. think a lot more eyes are going to be on BATL. Putting OCG on a side chart. Nice up to 310 there. I'm going to be hands off on OCG just because it's a Chinese company with no news. Possible dip setup here. We gave a similar setup earlier this morning for the breakthrough 7 a.m. Shoveling all yesterday? Oh no. Typically in Florida we don't get snow. But it's a little bit rainy here. That's about all. OCG, nice move up to 320s there. Very nice. People's attention definitely shifted off. 160,000 share seller there. Nice bounce back up here on BATL. You can see if this one wants to curl back up through highs here. MACD crossing over negative on the 10-second chart, but the 5-minute chart looks nice for this bullish pattern. Let's see if we can get over 6 and hold. There's 610, nice. Adding here, looking for the break up higher, looking for 30s. That's 30 there, nice. Now watching for the squeeze up through 40s and 50s. That's 42, 43. Back down to 35s though. Green on the ticker, watching for the breakthrough 45 and 50. I took half off to reduce some risk. Average position 21. Big seller here. Back down to 21 though. So now it's rejecting. So that was a dip trade looking for the breakup over 50s again. OCG full round tripping here. Kind of makes sense. Chinese company. No news popping up. There was a couple opportunities on it, but nothing that I really liked. Gap it back up here. What's this previous high here? 45. Watching for a curl. Maybe the squeeze back through. We did reject once, but it wasn't a rejection. It's holding up this level. That's 24. It's 20s. Not holding up as well as I thought it was going to do in this area. I added there for the break through the squeeze, looking for 50s. Took half off to reduce some risk coming into 50s because it didn't snap through right away. Thought that was the right idea, and dropped back down to 618, kind of where my entry was, and then curled back up to 35s. So kind of just chopping around, and P&L wise, not really pulling away. We can see if this one wants to break up with a new 5-minute candle and squeeze. I don't know if this is going to be done here. It might go up to 7, or at least try to. Big seller coming in. Nice little pop to the 20s. See if it curls. That's 27. Nice. Back down though. Some sellers in this range. Kind of a premature pop. Adding here at 30s. Average position 26. There's 33, 35. See if it wants to snap. Stop just below here. There you go. There's 35. Watching for the squeeze through 30 and 40s. There's 40 there. Taking some off at 40. Watching for the squeeze through 50 and 60. Nice. So taking it all off there as we start popping away. There's 680 as well. You can see if this one wants to snap. The problem that I have with this one is it's kind of good to quit while you're ahead. The problem that I'm having here is judging if it's going to continue pushing up higher or not. And so typically in that type of issue, when it's not pulling away when I think it's going to, and then I'm trading the backside of the move and giving back profits, it creates a little bit of a harder time for me to feel comfortable continuing to add and look for the squeeze up higher on most of these moves. So I think the smarter move for me would be, kind of sit back while I'm ahead and not give back profit again, because in this area here, we traded it, looked for the squeeze. It didn't go immediately, started pulling away. I thought it would just consolidate like it did here in this area. But what ended up happening was it started actually pulling away. You had a pullback here. You had another pullback here. You had a squeeze all the way to the top here for the breakthrough 650. And then it chops out, rejects once, curls, rejects again. And at this, the next attempt coming up to 680s, I'm like, let me just take it all off, because I had profit in this area, held half. I had profit in this area, took half off, pops up. I'll just tank it off, and now it rejects. So right call for this one. It's kind of just that feeling on the tape that you kind of see. Were you guys able to get anything of BATL this morning? Nice little mover. BNAI popping up as here as well. So BNAI, what's crazy about this one is, I don't know if you guys saw, but after hours coming into Friday evening, this thing went from 14 to 20, pulled back all the way up to 30, pulled back all the way up to 40, then 50, then 60, all the way to a high of $80 a share this morning. Was down 260 and the same, then caught up. Now I'm 35. Nice. Oh, you're red 35? That's not bad though. Nice job, Jason. Very nice job. So one of the biggest things on BATL that I did was, because it was such a grinder, I reduced my share size from 500 down to 200. And the reason why I did that was because it was so choppy. I wanted to give it multiple attempts to go. And so typically if I give it multiple attempts, I could be taking, paper cuts off the top. And then once it starts pulling away, if I added, now the biggest thing on that strategy is, we had this pop here. I added for the break here down lower. Nice little dip trade. It pops up, and instead of adding to this position as it, rallies up higher, I took some off. And then same thing here. So I think the right idea there was probably to add for that break. BATL suffering, but BNAI continuing to gap up here a little bit higher up to the 70s. It's really nice. People were really jumped on this one pretty quickly. I mean, if you see the spreads on this, if we look at the level 2, at times it's over 50 cents. Tightens up, drops down. Almost $1 a share spread. So whatever share size you use, you have to be able to, willing to risk that much as well. just over $1 a share spread for the breakthrough 70 there. Yeah, Weeble level 2 definitely does work. Um, it's not as good as DAS. It's just a little slower, but it definitely works. Trucker sent in a couple clips that I'm going to be analyzing. Those are on the mentor recordings tab, if you haven't already checked that out. For the Elite Portal access, that'll give you kind of like an example of my rundown on what Weeble is and how to use that platform. What I realized, coming into watching some of the feedback and I guess not the feedback, the tape on Weeble is the biggest thing that I would say is a lot of those breaks and pushes higher happen on they happen so quickly that Weeble can't catch up to it. So, there was one move that popped up from 1525 and immediately went up to 16. But on DAS, what I would see is 1525, 1530, 1540, and I would be able to get in all those prices. But if you're, trading hotkeys on Weeble or something, and you click it 1 second too soon, instead of getting filled at 1525, you're getting filled at $16 a share. And so, Weeble's level 2 definitely works. You're just going to be a little bit limited to how fast the data comes through comparatively to other platforms. Now, if we were all trading, using the same platform, it'd be a different ball game. But I'm highly competitive, especially in this space. We're competing against other traders, other algorithms. I think using some of the best tech will give you some of the best advantage, and that's using these more advanced platforms like DAS, Lightspeed, Sterling, stuff like that. It only gives one route for all six. You need to pay more. Interesting. When you say it only gives you one route, like it only gives you level 1, and then you're not paying for the order book to see the rest, like Arca, Nasdaq, stuff like that. Only Nasdaq. Interesting. Are you typically able to see some of those big sellers that come through the ask and stuff like that as well, Sunil? Oh, you use Fidelity. Gotcha. Is anyone having problems trading on Thinkorswim this morning in the Charles Schwab platform? Jason String can't answer. What? No. It's so weird. It doesn't come up with anything. So, BATL rejects pretty hard off the top there, up over 680. I took this position down here, added at 626, looking for the breakup over 640s. I took some off at 638, 10 cents higher. Typically, that's, where I want to get my stop orders out and then letting the rest ride. And this one ended up popping up just a little bit higher, pulling out just over $50 of profit on that one trade, which is really nice to see. GXAI moving up a little bit higher. A little bit of a cheaper stock. We have, a little bit of resistance up here as well, up over 161. Nice move on GXAI here. I'll pull it up on the level 2 just to see. Now, GXAI, some of the problem on this one is it has no news. There's no reason for it to be up the way it did. It pops up here. Let's see, what day did that news come out? I guess it did come out with news late evening at 4:33. I think a lot of people are jumping on because the momentum has been really hot recently. So there is a lot of opportunities, but for me, this doesn't really fit my criteria. Remember, I do have that sticky note in front of me. Don't trade stocks under $2 a share, whether that's psychological or not. I just haven't been performing on them. Even since the beginning of when I started trading, and I just for some reason could never get a feel until it got above $2 a share, and that might be due to the fact that it's thickly traded or it's something or other. But it's just always a struggle with stocks underneath $2 a share. It's something I can watch out and get better at. That's a nice pop back up to 180s there. We can see the dips and it continues. Nice pop back up to nice. So 195 is the high right now. We have a high volume 1 minute candle coming in as well, down below, 180 now. Typically, on a lot of these moves, what has been happening is these dip trades have been really nice, and so it rejects a level, dips down, holds for a certain period of time, and then curls back up. That's that curl rejection pattern that we typically like to talk about. And there's been a lot of these, and so even if I see a rejection, in a hotter market, it just might not be the top. It just might be some profit taking pretty aggressively. New 5 minute candle here. Watch this dip in the curl. That's 95. Now you're watching for the breakthrough 90s, 90s, and then 2. No trades for you. I typically trade in the sim first to get some wins there before going anything live. That's very smart, trucker. That's very smart. You've been crushing it in the live, so whatever system you got going for you, it's been really working. I think you have is it like 86% accuracy or something like that for this month? A little bit higher. It's been really paying off, man. Also, I got that recap for you coming probably later this evening. I have a plan to do, so that'll be uploaded um, before the end of the day. Go over some of the live trades. Nice pop back up to 90s and $2 a share there. It's kind of what I thought for this 5 minute setup. Now let's see if it can hold over 2 and start squeezing. I might become more interested in it. It is very thickly traded, doesn't have news. We did reject once, and so that gives me the inclination that it might reject again. But nice pop back up to 208. Let's see if it dips down to 2, holds 2, then squeezes back through 210, 215. Then you could possibly see that squeeze the 225. So there's 202 there. It's holding on the bid there. So my eyes shift to the bid as I'm watching. Now it's up to 205. Nice. Now watch for that squeeze up to over 210 and 215. That's 210, but back down to 205. So it's kind of hesitating in this area, kind of heavy. The tape's kind of slowed down as well. Now the tape starts speeding back up. Now you're looking for the break back over 10s, but continuing to dip down. Let's see if it holds here. Looking for the break back over 210. There you go. There's 215, 217. See if it holds. Just kind of choppy in this area, just over 2. Not pulling away. Joel was saying there's 3.2 million shares. Sellers was just over 186 for a while. Was able to snap up over that level. And then I'm guessing they would come right back in. STAI moving up a little bit higher. I don't see any news on this one either. 744. My eyes are on the news feed here to see if there is, but I don't see any news on STAI. You gotta watch out for these ATGL setups because sometimes they can be traps and it'll just turn around and flush on you. Good morning, Burge. So full round trip there on STI. GXAI, nice curl back up to 208. This is your first 1 minute candle to make a new high. Kind of a premature break there. So lots of selling on this one. ARAI. This one does have news. News came out at 6:54. How did news respond? Very interesting. So it had news coming in from Friday, it looks like. Drone site, arrive AI, 7 a.m. It doesn't pop up until later in the evening. Kind of, rallies higher. Pops, dips, pops, dips. Kind of like a double top pattern. Sells off really heavy. Now it's curling back up. What's this pivot level up here? As a long-term hold position, we were going over. I was watching some video, and obviously, you can't believe in everything, but the way that they broke down some of these, AI company stocks, how they have relation to, computing power and chips and everything to do with that. I think AMD could be a good potential swing trade. It's a really, really nice rally up through highs, and if it continues squeezing, I mean, you could see up to 350. So, potentially this break up over 270, 280, and that continuation of over $300 a share could be a nice swing trade there that I was thinking about. We have a ARAI here. So BNAI, this one, popped up Drop back down over um, VWAP there. I don't think this one is done necessarily. I think it still might have some room to go, but we'll need to see it get back above 71. Could be a little bit of a market open play there. Hmm. You know, my opinion on ARAI is the fact that if it was strong enough, it'd probably already go through 375 by now. And the fact that it's struggling to get over that level makes me a little bit worried. Coming up to 8 o'clock in about 8 minutes here. So it got quiet all of a sudden, nothing really holding up and pulling away. GXAI popping up, dropping down below VWAP. A lot of short sellers, took the high of this break here and sold into this move. What's also interesting, especially on this pop, is short sellers were definitely, as it was grinding up here, they were adding into this position and hoping that it would turn them back around. A little bit of a curl here through VWAP on GXAI. I don't know if I'm too interested in trading this one. Nice rally all the way to $2 though. Let's see if it can break over 215. That's 210 there on the ass. Now you're looking for this dip and that curl back through. Watch for the squeeze up through 210. Oh man, no, I totally got you, Pete. I missed it as well. A lot of the move. I got a couple good trades on the backside to help me out. So that's your nice squeeze up over 210 there, all the way to 240. This thing, all of a sudden looks strong. Starts to really hold up this level now. What a squeeze. There were a lot of sellers on GXAI. I don't know if they're going to come back in or not. I'm hands off for now. Another little bit of a dip. Looking for the bounce back up higher. It's 28. Some sellers coming in. There's 32. Back up to 35. You're really looking for 40s though. So struggling to get back above 40 there. Yeah, Pete, a lot of Apple's alarms have not been going off recently. A lot of people are complaining about it. I don't know if you have an iPhone or not, but it's crazy. So here's your dip. Looks good for the breakthrough high day. This would be a high day breakout pattern for the breakup over 240. There's 39. There's 40, but by 41. Breaking up by a cent is not great. Yeah, I'm very worried that my phone is going to do the same. So I have an Alexa set up now as well to help me out because I haven't updated my phone to the latest version yet. And I don't know if I will until they come out with a new update and they fix the problem. So it dips down there, which is nice, and then rallies back through. You would think this would start pulling away, but now it's just choppy in this area. The reason why I didn't take this trade is the fact that, the ability to chop around like it is now was, it could be very consistent with this area. So I wasn't sure if I was going to snap through high day or not. Not enough conviction to take that trade. But you have a 5-minute setup now. Now you're looking for the break back up through 30s. And then that squeeze. You have ADFN orders coming through. Lots of ADFN orders coming through. When the tape starts speeding up, what I realized in Ocean One and their data vendor right now, it creates a little bit of a lag on the DAS chart. So they said that they're working on a fix to change their data vendor so that issue doesn't happen and it gets a little bit better. SVRE has some volume. This one popped up not too long ago as well. Let's see. On the 5-minute chart, there's a lot of resistance up over 350s. No news that I see on it so far. Also watching for 8 a.m. breaking news. There's a big bid here at 180 on SVRE, 20,000 shares. GXAI popped through 250 there. Wow, came out of nowhere. Very nice. So the biggest thing on GXAI is the fact that, it's holding up these levels and, it looks nicer. So maybe we can see that squeeze up over, 260s here. Back down to 250. Let's see if it holds 250. What a nice dip though. Very thickly traded on the level 2. There's 260. Nice. Popping back up there, dropping down a little bit. What you want to see is the breakout through 265. That squeeze and continuation breaking up over 275, 285, and maybe $3 a share. But rejection coming in now. So possible core rejection pattern for the next 5 minute candle here for that squeeze up higher. So watch for the breakup over 260 and 265. Stop out some shorts. But fading off that level. So no trades in this area for me yet. It's a nice grinder. There's a lot of opportunities on it. Nice dip trades. Do I think it's a good dip on BATL? You know, that dip did get bought up there for the breakthrough 5. Held that level support decently. For me, you know, I have a momentum day trading strategy. Dip trades in these type of areas aren't always the best for me. Sometimes we get, you know, those relief bounces is what I like to call them. They sell off, you get a little bit of support, and then a relief bounce comes back up. For me, the biggest thing that I would like to see is if it can get back over 587, it could look nice for the breakthrough 6. Now, we already rejected pretty heavily already in this area. And so because of that reason, I typically think that it'll try to go once or twice before, you know, rejecting a couple more times and then going. So I think dip trades are a more realistic, safe option, especially, you know, you have 3 candles of pullback. Now, you know, you're looking to, you know, continue going up higher a little bit. But until we can break over this 587 and 6 level, I don't know if it's going to, you know, continue rallying or not. It's thickly traded. There's a lot of volume, you know, over 100 million shares traded already this morning. So there's a lot of people are looking at this for a potential trade for sure. Typically, you know, my bias on a stock like this changes very quickly if it can break up over those levels very fast. And so, you know, the more it grinds and rejects and grinds and rejects, my bias is going to stay the same. But as soon as it starts, you know, looking like it might turn around, my bias can shift pretty quickly. And so, I think it's a good way to react to some of the price action instead of trying to predict it sometimes. But if you have a dip trading strategy and, you know, you're trading these dips off these 5 and these whole dollar levels, you know, and that works for you, then that's great. GXAI, a little bit of a dip. To me right now, this looks like kind of like a head and shoulders pattern setting up. So you have the first head here, or the first shoulder, the head, and then maybe another shoulder. MACD is crossed over negative, so higher likelihood of a false breakout. Pretty interesting headline here. MSTR buys 2,932 Bitcoin. It's a headline that it came out with. Pretty insane. So, investors are buying the dip on Bitcoin here. So that's a very large position. All right, so still on BATL, looking for that snap up over 587. Right now, consolidating in this range. Oh, what's up, Neo? I appreciate it, man. Yeah, no, I've definitely been trading a little bit better. The focus is kind of shifted, and so before, I was trying to trade and pull out as much as possible out of the market with small share size, and I just don't think that's the best way to go about it anymore. So increasing my share size, only looking for a little bit of profit on the day on larger share size can really make the difference and really help with commissions too. So I really do appreciate it, Neo. Thank you. How's your trading been going as well, Neo? Oh, awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. I think, until you get the time to really, sit down and focus on trading the highest quality opportunities, you have to trade with what you got. And, as long as you're taking the opportunity to learn, there's so much to learn in the market, and it's just going to overall benefit you. And if you can continue to trade sideways for a while and then start pulling away, that's really when it starts getting super exciting. So that's awesome to hear. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great way to look at it. EVTV not hitting the scanner here, continuing to pop up. Wow, what a move. Thanks for the call out there. This is not hitting the scanner at all. I'm not too sure why. Does have news. AZIO announces installation of 40-foot immersive ready data center container. EVTV on SSR. A little bit of a big seller, 10,000 shares up here at 260s, but big buyers as well. I wonder why this is not hitting the scanner. There you go. Now it's hitting the scanner. I wonder if it's just delayed. 272 there. Very interesting. It might have to do with the relative volume rate. So if you scroll back on EVTV, you can see on the 5-minute, we have so much volume being traded in this area every morning. Made a really nice, rally up here. Now it's kind of a dip. You have the 200 EMA up at 3. So if we can break over 3, it could be interesting for a daily breakout setup. But until then, you have to be a little bit careful. So there's 3 there. I'll pull up the 5-minute again. What are some daily level of resistance here that we have? So, yeah, no alert for me. I appreciate you bringing that up, though. 55. So we just have a lot of nearby resistance. It could pull away. We're in a hot market. So, still watch it, but I'm not too sure. This is a new 5-minute candle here. Let's see if it holds. Nice pop over the 310s. 315 there. 20,000 share seller. The one problem that you have on a stock like this is if someone's caught holding the bag in this area, they're looking to start getting out by now. So it creates a little bit of unfortunate resistance to watch out for, because some people do hold their positions and they think that's going to come back up. And I know many people hold 5 to 10 stocks that they've traded us in the small cap sector, trading below $1 now that are they're waiting for it to pop back up. And sometimes it's a little bit of delusion from the brain, tricking you like, oh, it's gonna be a winner, it's gonna be a winner. And some of it is just a strategy error. It never really had a stop, not enough discipline to stop out at the right time. So it creates a lot of bad habits when you're holding hope. Because even like a stock like Vero, which is made a really nice move, we trade it, best green day in a while, and then all of a sudden you give back some gains, pops up, and then delists, and it's like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. QCLS. EVTV dropping down a little bit. Took some support there at VWAP, which is nice. Now curling back through. So a good little bit of a dip trade there. So since this morning's been a little bit quiet, we can go over some of the trades on BATL this morning as well. The biggest thing here was, a couple of these moves that gave off some opportunity. And so my first trade actually came in at 641.07 right here. And what I was looking for was to break back up through and pull away up to 460s. And what ends up happening is it dips down, then rallies back higher. So missed that here, rejected in this area, curls back down, rips up higher. Nice. Starts curling back through this level here. And I'm thinking to myself, this looks really strong. We're coming into 7 a.m. This could look nice. So I add, looking for the break up higher just in this area, dips down, curls, and then pops, take some profit off. I actually add back here 200 shares looking for the break. What ends up happening is it kind of holds this area for a while. I take most of my profit off, expecting maybe a rejection, ends up pulling away. I'm thinking it might just, consolidate in here, but it continues to rip through this level and, goes all the way up to a high of 680s here, dips back down. Take this dip and this opportunity. I take a couple stabs here for sure, I do believe. Ends up not working out. Curls back up. I get in for the breakthrough highs. It goes up to 40s and then drops. Sell flat. Curls back up. Get back in. Looking for the breakthrough. 5-minute candle setup. On the 5-minute chart here, which is the first 1-minute candle to make a new high. I added early. Let's see. When did I add? I added at 26, 27, 27, 27. It went up to 638. Took some profit off in case of a 5-minute candle rejection, and then ends up popping up to 670s. So if we look at this chart here, this is how it looks. You know, in hindsight, these ads in these areas could have been really nice. I wonder if there's a way that I can Oh, I found it. If John's watching, I found how to where it is. So if you right click, go to chart area, and then go to config area. Oh, I searched for this for like an hour straight and I couldn't find it. Okay, so all right, if you go to config area, this shows you the chart orders. You can show trade, show order, stuff like that. Man, it's crazy how that happens, where you're not even like looking for it, and then there it goes. Oh, brother. All right, so I want to be able to see if I can zoom in and out on this chart without having to be weird about it. Maybe not. I'll just zoom in a little bit more. All right, so here's the first trade in this area. Basically break even, curls back around, dips, add for this break. Nice dip trade, curls, I add back here, a little bit of profit, not much. Then it pulls away, add at the top of this break, doesn't squeeze through 650, pulls back, looking for the break again, doesn't go. Try the further break, first 1 minute candle. So lots of stabs, and then finally pulls away. It's probably the best trade of the day that I ended off with. So yeah, very, very intuitive here. It makes a lot of sense. You know, put a config within a config. I don't see what the problem with that is. EVTV hitting some of the running up scanners. QCLS also hitting some of the running up scanners. We're coming into 8:30 here in about a minute. So here's your first attempt looking for the breakup over on BATL. So that's 83, 84. Now you're looking for the squeeze through 87. So that's 85. Nice green on the tape coming through. Very strong, but a little bit of resistance. So back down in the 80s. ELGO moving up higher. Or sorry, ELOG and DEVS. DEVS popping up. A little bit of a cheaper stock. Could be a grinder. ELOG popped up there too. Does have news. Chinese company. DVS is the one that starts pulling away here. I think a lot of people's attention are going to quickly shift to this one. It's not a Chinese company. It shows as it's a US company here. BATL kind of rejecting for that break up over 87. Dropping back down to 55. NAMM, this is starting to, rise up a little bit higher as well. We do have some resistance here at 4. And then at 33. It's on SSR. Yeah, BATL has been thick all morning. It has 112 million shares. When I started trading it, it already had 50 million shares traded. So there's an insane amount of volume coming through on it. So nice pop through 4 there. You have a big seller coming in this range, 10,000 shares. It's not the highest quality opportunity. You can see, lots of selling volume coming in this area, closing as a very high volume 1 minute candle. QLCS continuing to be this like lighter volume pull away. Might bait some people to jump in and they reject on them. So just be a little bit careful on this lighter volume moves. NAMM, complete sell off there from the 4s. EVTV, a little bit of a curl back up here to 3. I can't remember if we traded this or not. We can look on the stats here. We did. How do we do? Traded it in the evening. So it was kind of a grinder. Looks like we took a little bit of a $14 loss on it. Didn't trade that too well. Another rejection coming up here. The break over 315. EVTV curling still. Curl rejection pattern for the breakthrough 415. Or sorry, 315. So that's 317 there for the high. Dropping back down to 309. If this curls back through. Let's see here. MACD is crossed over negative on the 1 minute. Not exactly what we like to see. Some sellers up here though. About 20,000 shares up over 316. There's one order placed at 499 with 100 shares. I don't know what that's about, but there's also another order placed at 217. There you go. That's up to 22, 23. Watch the dip and the squeeze through 25. There you go. Now you're looking for 30s. But stalls out. Back down to 22. All the way back down to 15. I'm just going to be hands off on EVTV. This one's a little bit tricky. Dip trades definitely are a little bit safer on this one. You know, typically what I'm looking for is that break, especially over this previous high, and that squeeze. It should be, you know, ultra low latency broadcast. So what you could always do is make sure that the you hold down the bottom there, and then you swipe all the way through. Make sure it's all the way at the edges of the screen. And then if that doesn't work, I would refresh the page. So ultra low latency. I mean, there's going to be a little bit of latency, probably like 3 seconds, 4 seconds. Just, you know, typically how the streaming servers work. But you know, make sure you refresh the page, and then also make sure that the bar at the bottom is all the way to the right, so you get live data. I see BATL there as well. Nice curl. Okay, so on BATL, the first thing you're thinking about is the curl back up to 650, and that squeeze maybe potentially up to 680. I really need to see it hold over this level of support in order to feel a lot, you know, more comfortable. We are a little bit of this curl pattern here, also kind of like an inverted head and shoulders, which makes it more interesting. I'm going to need to see it get above $6 a share. Yeah, it's weird sometimes. It knocks the stream off live. So it goes, hits live to go back to live. Interesting. There's 606. Yeah, the plan eventually is to get my own low latency server. It's very expensive at the minute. So eventually I'll have my own streaming platform to use. so we don't have any of these issues. But until then, this is kind of like what we have to run. I do know every time you leave and come back to YouTube, it kind of keeps you um, at the point you were originally left at. So that could also be a reason. So this is moment of truth right now for this breakup over 6. See if it holds the support. Right now we're dipping below slightly. The 1 minute candle closed. Typically when it pops up like this, I'm worried about a little bit of a drop. Sets up to 95, 96. Going back down to the 80s. Yeah, typically it's going to be 3 to 4 seconds. I mean, it's really hard to get past 3 and 4 because you're never going to have real lifetime um, data. So instead, we have to say ultra low latency, which 3 and 4 seconds is pretty good, especially for being a free platform, which is really helpful. SWAG swag moving up here. ATGL setup. EVTV, a little bit of a curl. So this is an ABCD pattern for the breakup over 23. on EVTV here. There you go. Nice snap over 26. Up to 28. Watch for the breakthrough 30. There's 34. See if it holds 30 and goes to 35 and 40. There's 33 on the ask. Slowly getting up there. There's 35 and 36. Good bid support here at 36 as well. Then that seller comes in just over this level. Kind of playing around. Your next level of resistance would be 355. And that's by scrolling out on the 5-minute chart and picking out one of these highs here. There you go, BATL out of nowhere. That's interesting. Up to 40s and 50s. Let's see if it starts squeezing back up to 650 here. Watching for this break over 649 and 650. Last time it came up to this range, it did reject. So got to give it a second to see if it holds. There's 42 there. So what I'm doing here is I'm watching the asses very closely to see if it wants to start squeezing up over $50 or 650. But kind of this resistance here. I think buyers are a little bit uncomfortable. They're kind of waiting for maybe a potential dip trade. What is high a day? 680. It's a very high volume green candle though. EBTV on a pullback down to the 9 EMA, a little bit of a bounce back up as well. Kind of stalling out. New 5-minute candle forming here. It's 47. Loss of resistance here. I'm hands off for now. There you go. Huh. Okay, so it pops up there. Yeah, that price action's a little tricky. I might be hands off BATL. This is very interesting. So the problem it's having right now is that was a break over 650 there. I thought about taking a stab in an entry trade, but it pops up, drops down, and then all of a sudden starts ripping. And then you see, 671, and then immediately back down to 649. And so, I'm happy I didn't punch it there because that's a not nice rejection. Very, very interesting here on BATL. Once a rejection, always a rejection. That's what they do say. NAMM. There's your curl. It's on lighter volume. We have resistance all the way up here at 550. Previously popped up and gave back most of the move. Not exactly the type of action you like to see. Good relative volume though. So they, NAMM here is a stock that's moving up on no news. It did come out with news on January 1st for historical price movements surrounding early earnings. That made a decent headline there. All of a sudden, it starts popping up in this area, dips back down, rallies back higher, kind of holds this level for a while, pulls away, coming into market open, sells off completely, now giving another little bit of a dip setup. But we have so much resistance in this area that I don't know what it's going to want to do. AUST moving as well. Austin Gold Corp, Nicey American. Looks like it made a really nice rally there. AUST Christmas tree. I thought we all put away the Christmas trees already, but I guess not. Some people are still feeling a little festive. I'm not too interested in AUST here. Lots of resistance on the daily from before. I'm a little behind. It's already 9 o'clock. I got to switch over to the TikTok as well. NVVE here moving up a little bit higher. This one popped up not too long ago. I do remember it. All right, there you go. I got the TikTok stream going as well. So NVVE, a little bit of a pop up here, dipping back down, looking for the breakup over 40s. That's nice up to 40 and 42, but some big sellers up in this range here. If we scroll out on the 5-minute, you can see there's some resistance on the daily. It is a recent reverse split, but it's popped since then. We traded it on this move while it started breaking out and, got a couple of opportunities. It does have news framework agreement. So this is the news headline here. It captures energy purchase first 3 battery energy systems, BSS, for Danish projects. So, it does have news. The news headline is energy, which, we've been seeing a lot of energy companies do pretty well recently. Good morning, Nick. Good morning, Trey. Really what we're looking for is something more fresh, and this one is moving. It's made a really nice high there. It's pulled back since, but there's a little bit of opportunity as well. Right now we have peaked at 115% here on the day, which is our 3rd leading gainer. That's pretty nice. A lot of people jumped in on this one pretty early. Over a couple million shares traded so far. Nice back up to 40. Let's see if it can snap through 50s, but having a tough time breaking over 50s right now. No trades on this one for me as of yet. Still just watching. Here's your dip coming in. It's kind of a little bit of consolidated range up here at just over 520s and 540s. Wasn't able to break over 550 there. Now we're dipping back down below the 5s. Let's see if this can rally back up underneath the VWAP dip. So nice little bit of a dip here coming into the 480s, gapping all the way back down to 460s, and selling off. Not typically what we like to see on a move like this. We want to see it hold up a little bit nicer. What's up, E-Man? Good morning, everyone. So right now, our 3 leading gainers are, they did pretty well this morning. BATL up 400% this morning. We had BNAI also make a really nice move coming in from last Friday night. And then NVVE here popped up 100%, now giving back, about 30, 50% off the top here. Typically what we like to see these hold up a little bit more. We have about 25 minutes until market open as well. Oh, you're holding a position in GXAI. Yeah, GXAI made a decent move here this morning. The problem with GXAI is the fact that it made a really nice high, but there was so many sellers in this area, and so coming into market open, I'm not too sure what it's going to want to give. We have BATL also, grinding a little bit higher here. This one's reject multiple times as well, so you have to be careful on some of these. NVVE, this one popped up to 5, and now it's gapping all the way back down to 565 there. Typically, when we start seeing more of these rejections, it kind of marks the end of the hot market cycle. But today we still had some nice moves. Red 200 right now. Oh, that's unfortunate, man. Yeah, typically I'm not a big fan of holding and hoping it comes back up. Oftentimes in a hotter market it might, and then in others, it might just continue to go lower. So yeah, full round trip coming in. I guess we are holding a little bit of this 9 EMA. BATL, a little bit of a curl as well. It's kind of an interesting pattern. We reject, we hold support here, rallying back higher up over 630s, now continuing to move up a little bit. If it can start breaking back over 650, I mean, it could look interesting for a move back up to 680s and that squeeze through a high a day coming into market open here. We've had some really nice strong moves coming into market open where you start seeing pull away up over even $1 a share. So, coming into yesterday or last Friday, we had a couple moves like that as well. MOVE, for instance, made a pretty decent swing. So looking for something similar coming into this morning. Dipping down to the 9 EMA, but not able to hold this level yet. Could be like an inverted head and shoulders pattern here. You got a shoulder, head, another shoulder, and maybe that curl back through. So that's what I'm looking for. Green to almost break even on NVVE. Interesting. Yeah, this one popped up to all the way, give back most of the move here, unfortunately. Yeah, GXAI, a little bit of a curl back up over, 212. Maybe you can see this curl back through 240s, but, you have some resistance here until then. We'll have to be patient on this one. Nice little bounce back up the 215s. Was it terrible fills? That's unfortunate. I don't think I'll be able to pull up ALBA if it's a UK stock. Typically, I only have access to US listed stocks. So GXAI continue to move back up here. Right now on GXAI, we're up a total, let's see, it's up a total of 94%, which is our third leading gainer this morning. NVVE and GXAI kind of switch places. And so now that we're breaking over VWAP, it could look nice for that curl back through. But, personally for me, there was a lot of sellers up in this areas through the break through the highs. There was a little bit of opportunity to trade them, but some of them were just a little bit trickier. So for me, it's just I'm not too sure if I want to trade GXAI. We have BATL this morning coming up as well. That one's up a 361%. Volume right now is 127 million shares traded. So that's a lot of shares traded so far in this morning. And coming when I sat down, it already had 50 million shares traded hand over hand. And so that's a lot of volume. I mean, it's your relative daily rate's 21,000, and on your 5 minutes, 1 million. So almost 2 million on the relative volume rate on the 5 minute, which is absolutely insane. The short interest is pretty low. Yeah, BNAI, this one, coming into Friday evening, this one made a really nice move from $10 all the way up to 30, pulls back, goes to 40, then 50, 60, 70, pulls back, comes in the morning at 4 a.m., opens and squeezes to $82 a share, then drops back down. And so it's kind of been selling off all morning until about 7 a.m. where it started popping up slightly. And there was a little bit of opportunity in this area, but for me, it's a little bit more expensive. I can't really take that many shares of it. So, no trades on BNAI for me. GXAI, I saw this one coming into this morning as well. It was a little bit cheaper at first and, continued to rally up a little bit, but no trades on this one for me. Do you trade when VWAP is close to the price but below the EMA? Yeah, sometimes I do. I typically like to take the high day breaks and momentum trades, but if we see a trade that is, close to VWAP, kind of like we did on, I believe it was last Thursday. If you check out the YouTube video from Thursday, I kind of go over a trade similar to that. 5 minute looks like it wants to curl. Yeah, I agree as well. I mean, it kind of looks like it wants to curl, but I don't like the rejection coming in for the break over 220. It just doesn't have enough momentum to start pulling away, and you can kind of see it's on lighter volume than it was previously. I mean, we were trading 2 million shares with just one candle, and now we can barely break over 1 million on these green candles over here. So you can definitely see some resistance in this area. EVTV, this one popped up as well. I got no trades in this area. I looked at it for a couple of stabs for potential trades, but luckily enough, I didn't get caught in any of these rejections. And now it's starting to fade off of the morning and gap down a little bit lower from previous highs. And then we also have, let's see, what was it? NVVE, we covered over this one. And then BATL. This is the stock that I traded most primarily this morning. I got a couple of stabs in this area, as you can see. My first trade was just over here. We were looking for that curl up over 450. It rejects, dips down, then breaks over 450, rejects again. I get back in looking for a 5 minute setup, looking for the squeeze through highs. This one pops up. I ended up not pulling out some of the biggest move of the day here, just on a little bit of a bias, thinking that, it wasn't going to pull away, and eventually it ended up squeezing all the way up to, 680, which was really nice, but didn't really pull out much in this area. I took a stab here, gave back some profit, added back, went back to green, and then went back to, pretty decently green as well. I just didn't really expect much from this one, unfortunately, coming into today. But we got a couple of trades on it, and that's always nice to see. Yeah, Pedro, the EVTV wasn't a great stock to trade. It's very thickly traded. It moved pretty slowly, kind of grinded up a little bit higher. But we really do have a full round trip coming in on NVVE here as well. I do stream every morning coming in at 7 a.m. over on joindtsm.com. And so you guys can definitely check that out if you would like. There's a ton of free content on there as well. So EVTV here. NAMM gapping up a little bit. This one popped up, dropped down, popping back up. Let's see. I don't know how interested I am on this one, but about 15 minutes until market open. Yeah, NVVE moved up really fast. There was, maybe a small dip set up here in this area and maybe for a breakout here. But why is it not working? There you go. But I didn't get any trades on this one. I didn't feel comfortable in it. It popped up before we traded it recently. So, and then it kind of sold off. So I didn't feel comfortable adding on this one. NAMM curl. We can see this possibly for the breakup over 450 here. I'm sitting decently green on the day, $63. I wanted to go for $150 daily gold today. On Friday, I didn't hit it. And then today, about almost halfway there. I definitely could have hit it on BATL. It wasn't nearly as aggressive enough, I don't think, on the pull away pattern that we saw this morning. But, fortunate enough to be green. About 12 minutes to market open. Still watching these four stocks. BATL is on the watch list, as well as EVTV, GXAI, and NAMM. Those are the four stocks I'm watching coming into this morning. NVVE is kind of off the list since it popped up and dropped down so harshly. Yeah, there's, a little bit of hype here on NAMM, but I'm not too sure, what it's going to do. Would you lose hope on John? So Early and Gainer up 372%. Price is about $6.05 here on a 6 million share float. It's a shell company for which mining corrections they say are non-existent. Interesting. Oh wow. I totally understand where you're coming from, John. I think, especially in a hotter market, a lot of these times we can get caught holding and hoping and thinking it's going to turn back around, and it might never. But one of the biggest things that I learned about trading is the market gives us opportunities, and there's times that we don't capitalize on the full extent, and there's times that we lose. But if you continue to learn and get better and progress, and do it at a slow rate where you're not pushing yourself too hard and battling that emotional battle, then you can get right back on and start to curl back up. Oh wow, John. Which stock did you trade on Friday? DRCT. Yeah, DRCT. That one was really tricky on Friday. I actually got no trades on it. There was a little bit of opportunity here, but once it started pulling away, I just was sat pretty much hands off on it. The dip trades worked a little bit better, but I could definitely see if you were looking for a breakthrough highs and it rejected on you, um, if that could have been a little bit bad. But there's going to be plenty of opportunities here as well to ride the horse again. 932. Oh, so you took a trade coming into market open then and dropped down on you. Interesting. Yeah, that's tricky, man. It never really started pulling away until later in the evening and then dropped like crazy. Yeah, the 5 minute could have looked nice for a small setup there. But it also, in this area, it pops up to six and then drops down. So in another way like that, where maybe you were taking a dip trade off, but it already rejected. So, there's another perspective to look at as well. NAMM curling back up here. This is setting up for an ABCD setup for the breakup over 550 here potentially. I'm watching it, but no trades on it so far. So that's a pop over 450 there, coming into market open in about 7 minutes. Nice up to 555, 560 there, continuing to move up a little bit. You have a big seller here, about 10,000 shares up over 460 as well. There's up to 465, 467. Continue to gap up a little bit here. I'm slowly pulling away. Float's fine on it. I'm not too sure what it wants to do. Right now I have a $150 daily goal. I traded BATL decently. We went from green to red to back to green on it. I gave it a couple opportunities and it just never pulled away. And then when it started pulling away, I wasn't confident enough to add to it. So coming into this morning, you kind of make a decision here. We're running out of time on the day. There was a couple opportunities, NAMM, for instance, kind of like a slower grinder. You have some resistance as soon as it pops back up. 20,000 shares up here. There was a possible scalp on NVVE. That one popped up pretty nicely. It was very quick though, and it gave back most of the gains. And then BATL was pretty much the only decent opportunity that I saw coming into this morning. So about 3 minutes till market open here. We can see what we get. I don't really expect too much coming out. Maybe BATL for a squeeze up higher. This could look nice for the breakup over 650 and 655 for that squeeze to the 680s. But your risk is a little bit higher. We rejected once pretty heavily, then twice again. And so, we have the saying, once a rejection, always a rejection. And the reason why we do that is to protect a little bit of risk. Personally for me, I like to give it a couple minutes for market open and let it see what it wants to do. There is opportunities coming into market open, especially for those high volatility swings. But with high volatility comes high risk. And so as long as you can manage your risk, I don't see a big problem with it. But it just depends on your trading strategy and, how you trade these momentum setups. Yeah, I took breakout setups for BATL. And so one of the first trades I ended up taking was a 5-minute breakout down below in this area here. Just looking for the first, 5-minute candle to make a new high, dips up, curls once again. I was looking for another, it was 7 a.m., but also a 5 a.m. setup here. I added, it didn't pull away immediately, drops down, then curls, pulls away really nicely. I didn't get most of this move here. I ended up trading in this area, looking for first candles to make a new high. So all pretty much high day momentum. I think there was one dip trade that I took, but I don't think it ended up working out. So nice screen back up here to 640s. I was watching, he's talking about mainly trades 2 stocks, ES and NQ. I mean, if that's a strategy that works for him, then that's great. Personally, those are a little bit more thickly traded, more algorithms typically trade those type of setups. And so the trading that I like to trade is, a lot more retail based. And that's why I really like, these small cap stocks, is because, we're competing against each other and coming into the market where these, small cap stocks really make really decent moves up, 500% in a day. And there's really only you need to capitalize on a little bit of them. So market open here coming in, maybe you can see that bounce back up to the 70s and 80s. Right now we're on a little bit of a dip, so watch as it dips here, then curls back through highs and maybe squeezes back up to 680. So that's 650 coming in all the way down to 620s. All right, so I'm going to close out the TikTok stream right now. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I stream live every day coming in at, market open, typically sitting down around, 6:30 to 7, typically go live around 6:45 to 7 o'clock in the morning. BATL continuing to move up here. I don't know how trustworthy it is coming into market open. We have seen a couple of these pop and drops, so just be careful, manage your risk out there. Trading is very difficult, so you want to be as careful as possible where you're trading, and not hold in hope for potential opportunities to fade off on you a little bit further. So thanks everyone for tuning in today. I'll be live again tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. over at joindtsm.com. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow at 9 for a TikTok stream. Peace everyone. Okay, so that's good over there. Let me see. I don't know how much. Let me see. I don't know how much more we're going to be able to get today. We traded decently on a couple of these moves coming into this morning, but I might just call it quits here for trading and upload. It's 126.26. I like that date. That's a nice date. Let me import the trades from today. Account defaults. Let's see here. Downloads. Import these trades. So it took 8 trades today. Made a little bit of cash, but not too much. $63. Traded on 37% accuracy. And so, really low win rate, but really high on the winners compared to losers. So holding a little bit longer. So that sometimes can save you pretty decently. Guess I shouldn't have taken any of these stabs. Thanks, Sugar. I did read your message. I think you analyzed everything that you needed to by yourself, and setting a stop loss and everything like that. So it's a great learning lesson. Days like this are going to happen. There's going to be big red days, and it's what you do when you bounce back, sitting down tomorrow, not feeling fearful, but feeling like you're going to set the new streak again. So continue what you're doing. Obviously you were doing some things right, and frustration can occur, and especially that revenge trading, and I understand how that is, and it happens. It's part of the game, but it's what you do to bounce back from that really matters. So I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I do have to leave a little bit earlier today since I have some stuff I have to do on my agenda, but I'll make sure to get that recap later today, as well as coming out with the Trucker Mentor recording session where he uploaded a Webull trade from a couple of really nice trades that he took. So it's going to be interesting breaking that down later today as well. So thanks everyone for tuning in today. I appreciate everyone for being part of the community, and we'll see you again tomorrow at 7 a.m. Typically I've been going live around 6:45 to 6:50, just depending on if we see a move start happening or not. But thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks guys.